Here we go.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
yes, good,
Just
thanks to you.
in my head. How's things?
Good, good, not too bad, not too bad. Just living La Vida lockdown. Yeah. What
Oh,
about you?
nice. I'm all right. I mean, I must be honest. This is our first Instagram live,
Yeah,
so welcome.
thank you.
As you can tell, I don't have a bookshelf, and I was
Mm,
thinking, obviously, we're working from home because of lockdown. What are we
yeah,
gonna do? There's no bookshelf, so I've got
yeah,
some cheesy branding just to keep us like, looking good.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, bookshelf. See, that seems to be the default background, doesn't it? When you're doing a cheeky interview, I've just got a lampshade. That's the best I've got.
it's a beautiful
Uh,
lampshade.
yeah.
Miles, tell everyone who you are.
So I'm an actor and filmmaker. I'm based in West Yorkshire in Huddersfield at the moment. Did a degree at Sheffield Hallam finished in 2015. Did a theatre and education tour around London for quite a while, which was pretty good. And then just needed to scratch the itch of making my own film. So I did that last year. Obviously, you were there. I sometimes forget that, but yeah, of course you were there.
Just
You
going
got
to
some
pause
great.
you there. For those that don't know, I'm actually also a photographer, and Miles was directing. Was it your first short?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was directing his first short, and that's where we met. And I was taking some pictures. It was in a barn. It was a very cold
Hmm,
night, if I remember rightly.
very, yeah.
So yeah, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So last year, did sort of direct my first short. There was some stumbling blocks. It was a learning process, but happy based on what we had to overcome. Happy with what we did, and kind of been working on a new idea. Well, I say a new idea. It's been one that it's one that I've had for a while. Kind of had the idea for about 3 years or so, just never really fully formed. And so that's what I'm kind of dealing with at the minute. That's what we're hoping to shoot in about three weeks or so. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so fingers crossed. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your new film that you're planning to shoot.
Yeah, so I play my cards close to my chest just because I think it's more interesting that way. I think it's better if I've always been of the opinion that if you just kind of announce, if you just let it happen, you just show people, then that's the more exciting way. But I'll give you a little synopsis. So, the film follows a guy played by myself, kind of in his mid-20s. He lives alone. He lives quite a sequestered lifestyle, and you find out early on that something's kind of out of place, something's not right. And this isn't a kind of spoiler. You kind of join the dots quite quickly, but he's lost his partner, his girlfriend, and so the film really just kind of follows him and his kind of descent into a state of turmoil, really. And we're using kind of the genre of kind of psychological horror to explore kind of mental, kind of, I don't say mental, but I guess mental health, you could say that, kind of loss, despair, all these kind of things. So I'm really excited about it. Ultimately, it plays out as an allegory for depression, which I'm quite kind of happy about. I think that's an important sort of subtext to have. And we've got some really great people on board. I'm working with James Ducker again, who helped me out in my last film. You'll have met him, obviously. He's really great. Really just consummate professional, very, very kind of friendly guy, super helpful. And yeah, just brought a lot of the old kind of crew back. I think that's super important if you get along with people. And I think if they do a good job, I just think that's just so important to kind of keep using the same people, because it's just, it's fine to try different things, try different people. But, if you can use those same people and create, your own kind of mini industry where you just kind of, you've got each other's back and you're using the same people, I think that's good. So yeah, super excited, really excited. I hope it's going to be good. I think it will be.
Do you find that, because obviously this year has taken a massive toll on all of us, and
Mm.
do you think that your plans had changed at all? So when did you write the script? How long ago?
This, so I started writing this about 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I just didn't have it kind of fully formed. Kind of, I knew where I wanted to go with it, but just stuff in the middle, I just couldn't quite make work. It just wasn't compelling enough. But I just kind of finished kind of writing it probably early summer. So yeah, when everything kind of went wrong. Yeah, yeah.
Do you think that having the time off during lockdown has had an impact? Have you made any changes? Has it had an impact to your plans to shooting?
Yeah, it's definitely had an impact. To be honest with you, more kind of indirectly, I would say. You know, we recently had to push it back by a few weeks, not because of lockdown, because the government guidelines say that you can still film. But we did have a couple people, one person kind of dropped out because of the announcement. Obviously, they just weren't comfortable. We had a couple other kind of issues that just meant that we were 3 weeks out at the time, and it just meant that we just couldn't have. It just would have been too much of a rush. So yeah, kind of indirectly, yeah. I mean, I've not pushed it back because of COVID, which I think I'm probably in the minority there. I think a lot of projects probably will have been pushed back due to COVID. But yeah, for me, just kind of things, kind of just a bit of a knock-on effect of due to COVID. So again, indirectly, yeah.
And has it changed your perspective at all in terms of like how you would deliver the narrative or anything to do with the script?
It's just, do you know what? It's just given me time to kind of refine it, spend more time on storyboard. I don't know if the direction of the story's changed, because this was, I guess the thing that a lot of people might be struggling with now with, mental health and feeling kind of isolated. This film is already about that. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't need to kind of imbue it with anything else. Do you know what I mean? It was already there. That's what it's about anyway. So, the stories remain the same. It's just giving me time to kind of, make sure that, when we're ready, we're definitely ready.
Fantastic. And are you able to tell us the name, or is that sort of close to your chest?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So you can find. So we're doing a crowdfunder at the moment, and you can find the link on my profile. The film is called Awake in the Dream. Yeah. So you can find there's an Indiegogo for it. You can find out a little bit more there about, there's a whole kind of meet the team section. So that's a good place to go if you're interested. I've got to say, we've got some pretty cool perks. I've got to put that in there.
Tell us, what's one of your perks?
Okay, so here's what I think the best one is. But I thought this would fly off the shelf, but it hasn't. So one of the things we've got, so as a bit of a side hustle, when I'm kind of in between acting jobs, I'm a personal trainer, so I'm a qualified personal trainer, and the £30 perk is not only do you get your name in the credits, but you get 2 30-minute PT Zoom sessions with me one-on-one, which I think is pretty cool. Because when I was doing my kind of research around crowdfunding, I was like, you look at a lot of them, and I didn't really see many that were kind of appealing to the uninitiated. Like you might get like, I don't know, like it might be like, oh, the £40 perk is like you get like a little figurine of one of the characters, and it's like that's quite cool, but like I don't see how you can kind of I just don't see that's not as a stranger to this person, that's not pulling me in. So I'm trying to think of how I can pull the uninitiated in, and so I think that's a pretty cool perk.
That sounds really cool. I mean, everyone's trying to keep fit. I mean, I know myself, I've put on
from home
during lockdown, so all that really helps. And hey, you're supporting filmmakers. I know myself personally from crowdfunding, it is very difficult. The South London Film Festival tried to set up a crowdfunding, and we didn't succeed. So we're going to try again. But it's a difficult time for everybody at the moment. So people that do support, it does mean a lot, and we're helping each other out, and that's what it's about. There's a question here from I'm Yes Sir. Forgive me if I've spelled that wrong. Who is your favorite American director?
My favorite American director, I think, for me, it's a good question, because I've got one that comes to mind straight away that maybe not a lot of people will have heard of. But my favorite director, not just American director, but my favorite director full stop, is a guy called Jeff Nichols, who directed Take Shelter, which is one of my all-time favorite films, and he did Midnight Special, he did Mud with Matthew McConaughey's. I think, for me personally, I think he's the heir to Spielberg. I think he's really, really good. So yeah, Jeff Nichols. If you haven't seen his films, check his films out. They're really cool.
Fantastic. And we're talking about that. What are some of your influences? What sort of influence? Because as an actor, you know, you've gone from acting to directing. Is that something that you initially thought you would do? And is that something that you find is difficult? Is there a lot of pressure on you as an actor?
Yeah. So it's always something I thought I would do, honestly. I remember being kind of 10 or 11, and I knew I wanted to be, do you know what? I knew I wanted to be part of making films. But I wasn't kind of like, oh, I want to be an actor or I want to be a director. I was just like, how can I be a part of that, you know, in a meaningful way? Not to say that obviously there are, like, you know, people on the set who kind of, you know, aren't, you know, everyone's got their thing to do, but like, how can I really kind of be one of the bigger cogs in the machine? And so, yeah, so I was like, should I be director? Should I be actor? Because, you know, when I was younger, you know, I wasn't like the performance type at all. So that's something that I really had to learn and really kind of, really work on. And so, but I was looking at, you know, I've always kind of been interested in, you know, I remember being like 12 years old and going on IMDb and looking up, you know, actors' bios, and I've always been a complete film nerd. And it seemed to me that, you know, the path seemed to be kind of actor to director. It was very rare that you saw a director then kind of all of a sudden just be a great actor. So I was like, well, I'm going to do the acting thing first. That seems to be where my kind of blind spots are. That's what I feel kind of less comfortable with. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'm going to try and see if I can segue into directing. So that's what I've tried to do. But yeah, it is hard to do. You know, on the first one, it was difficult. You know, because I didn't have, you know, I mean, there was no kind of assistant director. It was just me trying to assess myself as best I could. So it was difficult, but it's it's not all that difficult because I'm a very, very harsh self-critic. So you know, it's challenging, but I do kind of love, you know, having kind of my you know, finger in both pies. You know what I mean?
Do you think that having an acting background has an impact in your perception when you're dealing with actors? Because as a director, it's quite hard to sort of get the delivery that you want. But do you find that as an actor, you know, do you find it easier to sort of communicate with them and to sort of get your message across in the way that you'd like it to?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's a weird one because I don't have anything to kind of compare it to, which I guess is nice in a way. You know, I can't imagine being a director that has never kind of been on the other side of the camera. Do you know what I mean? I could imagine that would be quite. I think it would take a long time for you to really kind of, in my opinion, I think it probably would take a long time to get to that point where you're really talking to your actors with fluency and you can be quite laconic but make your point really, really well. So yeah, 100%. I just try and, you know, tell them what I would want to hear, you know. So yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And there's a quote here. I forgot to read it out. It's a really cool quote here from Kerem TM. Forgive me if I'm getting people's names wrong here. So don't wait until you're ready to take action. Instead, take action to be ready. That's a very good quote.
Yes. Yeah.
So another thing is, have you had any sort of recent revelations during the filmmaking process? Is there anything that you've sort of learned along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much, you know, certainly before I did my first film, so much of what you're thinking about is fear based. Like, what if it goes wrong? You know, like, what if I haven't got it? You know, what if people don't respond to it? And, you know, even now going into the second one, I still feel all that, but it's not, you know, once you've done it, it's just like those things aren't blockades anymore. They're just like, they just appear and you just go, yeah, I've met you before. I can deal with you. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, just having you know, powering through. You know, it's like you know, it's analogous to, you know, jumping off the you know, top diving board in a swimming pool. Like if you do it once, you can do it for the rest of your life. Like it doesn't mean that every time you get up there it's less scary. You can just rest. You can fall back on the knowledge that you've already done it once. So yeah, I would just, you know, for me, it's just the revelation is, you know, just kind of really just do it. Like, it doesn't get, you won't find a time where it's not scary. You know, that will doesn't exist. It's always super scary. So, you know, just from a psychological standpoint rather than a filmmaking standpoint, I think that's something that I've, you know, shaken hands with, you know, for sure.
And
Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying, you know, it sounds like it requires a lot of self-belief. And how important is that in filmmaking?
I mean, it's massively important. You know, I wrote an article earlier in the summer because I'm a Music Vine subscriber, so they have a huge database. You know, you pay them a fee, and then you get kind of like what should be. You know, you pay the royalties for the music that you might want to put in your film. They're one of those sites, and you know, they invited me to write a blog post about, you know, my experiences, and yeah, it was all about that. It was all about self-belief. You know, like, you just got to kind of, you know, just separate that thing between you and who you admire. It's like there's nothing there. Like, they, you know, like they were kind of the same as you at some point, and in every respect that matters, they're still exactly like you. Do you know what I mean? They just make good films. That's the only difference. And so, yeah, self-belief is massive. It's hard, you know. The problem is getting people to kind of just act on it, because you can say just believe in yourself until, you know, you're blue in the face, but you just have to kind of take the dive, and you know, you know, like, it was, the last film was so stressful. It was weird. It was this most stressful, probably the most stressful professional experience of my life, and yet it was the best professional experience of my life, you know. So yeah, you've just got to kind of go with it, and, you know, just enjoy the process, and you know, just if it doesn't work, like, go again. That's it. You know, you've just got to keep pushing.
And one thing that you know, I put a little video out the other day mentioning that we've had this year quite a lot of submissions, and with that means that there's going to be lots of films, great films that or sound like Trump there. There'll be lots of films that that might not be selected. And
yeah,
one thing that I've learned personally in my career is that rejection is a very difficult thing, and this is why I'm very passionate about supporting filmmakers. So I've said to people that even if your film is not selected, we will do our best to support you. You know, like we're doing here, we're talking. I don't think you submitted a film this year, but you know, we want to support our filmmakers. You know, that's what it's about. It's not so much, you know, we have winners, we'll have finalists, and you know, there's rewards for that. We'll support them. But you know, this year has proved more than anything that it's very difficult, you know, for everybody, and especially within local businesses, within the arts. People financially are in positions where they never thought they would be. So, you know, we might not be able to support each other financially. So, you know, there might be people that might have it, you know, you'd be surprised. But then, you know, we can do other things. You know, we can talk, we can raise awareness, we can share stuff. So I think it's really good that we you know, we spend time to do these things here.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate. I know there's, you know, I consider you to be in the minority. I don't think many people would do this. You know, I mean, just, you know, a lot of people want. It's got to be transactional for a lot of people. It's like, well, what am I getting out of it? And, you know, so I do appreciate you you doing this for, you know, for everyone. You know?
And I just want to talk about some of your future plans. What are you planning next? So remind me of the name of your film. It's
Awaken the Dream.
Awaken the Dream. What is your plans after that?
So we're gonna. This is a film, because it's a kind of a psychological horror. This is going to spend more time kind of getting tinkered in post than we spend in production. So, you know, I'm going to work on this. I get, you know, really kind of probably till early spring, hire a composer, and then, you know, hopefully, just as, you know, we're starting to get back to normal with COVID, hopefully that will kind of coincide quite nicely with, you know, film festivals, you know, being physical again, and I'm going to try and you know, submit the film, obviously, to yours, and so that's kind of where my focus is at the moment. You know, try and push more acting gigs, obviously, in the new year. It's obviously been pretty scarce this year. But yeah, just trying to just this film has just been a massive focus for me. So that is the kind of the bullseye for me at the moment. Yeah. How are you still submitting when life gives you lemons, or?
Well, so for those that don't know, I made a short film during lockdown, and my short film, it happened to. I actually had plans this year to go and sort of make another film, and everything sort of fell apart when lockdown happened. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I made a little film in lockdown, and it was quite successful. And it's just proof that you can, and even if you run your own festival, you can still be creative, and you can do whatever you're doing. So whether you work, whether you work as a waitress or waiter, you can still be creative. Whether you work in a full-time job, there's still things you can do. And yesterday, it actually got selected in its 30th film festival.
Nice.
So it's been really successful, and I think it's just proof to me that you can still keep being creative. And yeah, I think I've sort of slowed down the submissions because I'm focusing on everyone else's films at the moment. We've got our judging team really working hard to go through all the submissions. We've had almost 600 submissions this year, so it's been very, very big, bigger than I thought it would be this year because of COVID. But it just goes to show, people can still try. I'm just gonna read this here. I will tomorrow film short, very limited equipment and only one actor. Should I limit myself in regards to the camera shots and kind of afraid of continuity error? What advice would you give to that?
Limit with regards to shots. I mean, if you've only got one actor, I would say no. I would say get a lot. If it sounds like it's a minimalistic piece, if you've only got one actor, I think you shoot the scene from a load of different angles and then see what works. Depends how much time you've got, of course. We always need more time. But no, I would say get it from a lot of different angles, see what works. So limited equipment. So that's the concern, is limited equipment. I think limited, maybe limited personnel would hamper you more there than limited equipment if you're thinking about shots. But I say get a few. What do you think? What's your take on that?
I think the advice that you gave earlier about surrounding yourself around people. So like you said, your first short, you worked with the same people that you're working with on your second short. I think it's very important that you do surround yourself around, good like-minded people that you can work with them, they can work with you. So I would say never be afraid. You can always learn. Always learn from things. I remember I had a shoot once, and it was a promotional shoot, and I went there, and the client had told me very last minute I want it to look completely different to what we'd agreed, what we'd planned. And I was like, what am I going to do? I was panicking. I was thinking, this is not, I'm one of those visual people. I like to sit and think. So the night before, I'd sit there, visualize the whole thing in my head to make sure I've got it how I want it to be. Planning is key. And I turned up, and she changed everything I thought it was going to be. So at that point, I froze. I was like, what am I going to do? So I said, listen, I'm going to go have a break. I'm going to go and come back. And I went, cooled down. I was with my mate, who's who I think David Mitchell. Yeah. So David Witchell, not Mitchell.
He's bald. He's not one of the Mitchell brothers.
Yeah, not one of the Mitchell brothers. But he's a very talented lighting guy. For those of you that don't know him, check him out. He's done some incredible work. So I went off, had a break, just said to him, he was happy stuffing his face with food. I just sort of cooled down, thought about it, and said, okay, let's carry on. And I think sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you just need to have a break, sit back and think about it visually. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? And if it goes wrong, it depends if you're working with friends. If you're working with, professionals, then it's not so easy to reshoot, because sometimes finance comes into that. So do plan ahead. But if you're going next week is it tomorrow? If you're going tomorrow to go and shoot, I would say, prepare in advance. See it as a lesson. See it as, what can I achieve? And we all do it. Even in this festival, it's like, what can I achieve this year? I planned to do a venue. You know, we'd confirmed a venue, we'd confirmed all sorts of things. I'm sitting here in my living room with some posters on the wall. You know, so this is not what I expected, but we have to work with it. You know, and take it as a lesson. So next year, what can we do differently? Next time we shoot, what can we do differently?
Yeah. It's you know, like when I did my first film, there are so many things that, you know, one of the, we talked about revelations earlier, but one of the things that, you know, struck me was, and it's in a way it's kind of irritating, but it's important that when you go through something, you can be absolutely sure that you're doing the right thing, and then when you look back on it, it so obviously wasn't the right thing, but you've learned, but that's fine because you've learned. And so, you know, you can't, there's no, it's obviously it's an old cliche, but there's no substitute for experience. So yeah, I think that was good. You know what you said, just enjoy it, just be a sponge.
A good phrase, and unfortunately it's not as good as the quote that you gave earlier, but a good phrase that someone once said to me: it is what it is. And that's helped me out so many times when I get stressed out, when I get like panicky. Is that they say it is what it is, and you can't do nothing about it. So you've got to deal with it.
That's it.
Right, before we go, it's been lovely talking to you. I want to find out, what are some film recommendations? What people are stuck at home. Some people are in lockdown. They don't know what to watch. They're bored out of their mind. What advice, what films or TV shows would you recommend?
Ooh, okay. So I think probably the best. We're still in 2020, aren't we? Unfortunately, probably the best film I've watched this year would be. This is on Netflix. It's a Danish film. Now, if you're not into subtitle films, don't worry too much, because this is one of the most accessible kind of foreign language films I've seen. But it's called The Guilty. I don't know if you've seen that. It is superb. It's so good. It's one of those kind of single environment chamber piece kind of films, you know, like Buried or 127 Hours, or, you know, that kind of film. But for me, it's the best of the bunch. Like, it's really, really good. I don't know who the guy is. You know, it's pretty much just one guy, but he's just amazing in it. Amazing, really, really good. So The Guilty, I would say The Guilty is amazing. Yeah. What about, have you got any?
You know what? It's been hard because I've seen a lot of shorts in this period of time, but I think my mind has been more on short films. I have seen one. What was the film I saw recently? I have to get back to this. My brain is frazzled. But I've been watching Sopranos. Have you seen Sopranos?
Yeah. It's funny. I've seen almost all the Sopranos now. I'm kind of working my way through it.
I'm like 20 years behind, but hey, I'm getting there. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. I think some of the sort of values are a little bit dated, but it's just interesting to see a snapshot of what time was like. And that's about it. Before we go as well, there was another thing that you mentioned. You mentioned about writing a blog. So I'm not sure if many people know, but what we are doing at the moment, we are working with people. So I grew up. The reason why I started this festival is because, you know, I've always wanted to be a film critic. I've always wanted to, you know, I used to work in education and work with films and give feedback and whatnot. And I thought, I want to get out there and write reviews and you know, write articles. And it's really hard to break out there without published work. And I found before where I might write a review and people say, you know, as a photographer, I take hundreds of pictures. I've taken pictures of countless big talent names and in the industry, and without sort of the confidence to publish stuff, or without the published work, people are not interested, and it's really hard to get out there. So what we're doing with the festival, we have a particular area on our site which is new, called News, and we're going to be offering people opportunities to write reviews. So whether it's about games, whether it's about movies, whether it's about TV series or music or photography or art, whatever it is, we're going to give people an opportunity to write up reviews, to write articles if there's a particular thing they want to talk about. If it's, for example, we've got someone who's doing an article at the moment, the top best Christmas films to watch this year. If you're a Christmas fan, look out for that. But yeah, if you are interested, or anyone is interested, let us know. If you've seen a TV series like this film that you're recommending and you want to write a full-length review, you know, feel free, and we'll be happy to, if we can fit it on, we'll be happy to publish it. So
that'd be great.
That opportunity is there for everyone.
Miles,
good idea. It's been really lovely talking to you.
Likewise, thank you.
And
Appreciate
can
it.
you just remind everybody, where can they find your crowdfunding?
Yes, so if you go on my profile on Miles Carter Actor, it's in the bio. So the Indiegogo is in the bio. Click on there. It's a pretty comprehensive page. You know, it's got, you know, where the money's going to go, who's on board, what we're trying to achieve, what the vision is. So yeah, please take a look. If you want to get fit, there's that perk there, that HIT Zoom session with me, which I think is really cool. I don't know why people are crazy. I don't know. So
maybe they could get fit and get a bit of advice from you at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's great, right?
What else can I do? Yeah. And you get your name in the credits as well. So, yeah, take a look. Any support would be great. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, Kiri. Thanks for doing this.
No problem. Everyone, remember, it's a tough time for all of us. So let's all support each other. And if you can, whenever you comment on people's stuff, use that hashtag, support the arts, support each other. That's really important. And if you can, hashtag South London Film Festival. Thank you so much, Miles.
Nice.
Take care and have a lovely rest of your day.